Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Nabil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good morning to all of you. So you see the global crisis, I've mentioned many times in my talks, it is because of the imbalance between the monetary sector and the real sector. What it means is that the monetary sector, today's monetary sector, it has three characteristics, which is it is based on fiat money, it is based on fractional reserve banking and interest rates. The fiat money, fractional reserve banking and interest rates, they increase the money supply in the economy continuously, exponentially, because interest is an exponential function. I'll give you the background because some of you have never heard me before, right? So, because the interest is exponential function, the money supply grows in the economy faster than the real economy. Our ability to produce real things that we produce in real things in the real economy. So when that happens, the imbalance between the growth of money and the real sector will show up as inflation and bubbles. That's why we have inflation in the economy. The main reason you might. And also the bubbles, we call asset price bubbles. So these asset price bubbles are generally shown in property prices and stock market, financial markets. These are the markets that absorb the increasing debt. So for example, if you see in the Western country, the global financial system, the derivatives market, the futures options market, derivatives market, the derivatives market, it absorbs most of the money. About 1 quadrillion worth of money is circulating in the derivatives market. 1 quadrillion is 1,000 trillion. Can you all imagine what is the 1,000 trillion? I asked in the last listing also, what big is a 1 trillion? I don't have to repeat that, I just quickly go if you have not heard me. 1 trillion is if you spend $1 million per day, every day, you can spend $1 million per day for 2,700 years. Every day you spend $1 million, which is our money like 3 million ringgit. Every day you can spend like that for 2,700 years before the money will finish. There's only 1 trillion. This is 1,000 trillion circulating in the derivatives market alone. So how did that amount of money come into existence? Is because money is nothing, it is just accounting entries nowadays. Money is just accounting entries. Since when? Since 1971, when the link between dollar and the gold was removed. When the Bretton Woods system in 1971 collapsed, so there's no more link between money and real economy. The money is no longer redeemable for gold or anything that's real. So therefore, with just accounting entry and exponential function of the interest rate, you get that much of money into the system. So therefore you get okay, is it? Oh no, all right. So good, So once the amount of money grows to a huge amount, then it's also debt. The reason is, when I said the amount of money is growing exponentially, right? The money takes the form of debt. Hutang, loans. Most of the money is created in the form of loans by commercial banks. So this amount of money, when it becomes huge enough and the economy is unable to bear the debt, the burden of the debt, then the system snaps. The system collapses at that moment. So we call that, I don't know whether there's a monetary meltdown. So when the system snaps, then the reverse process takes place. The reverse process takes place by destruction of money. Earlier it's a creation of money, right? Now we have destruction of money. So destruction of money takes the economy towards a recession. Right? Just to give you the background before. So what we are facing in the global economy today is the system has gone, the debt level has become so large in the global economic system, it is snapping and is destroying money in the process. And it is taking the whole global economy towards recession. The reverse process. So basically, as I mentioned in the few, sorry if I'm repeating because there are many new faces here, but I'll go quickly to what governments and businesses and individuals can do. Basically, what we are observing today is a failure of capitalism. It's failure of capitalism. You can see Alan Greenspan's quotation. He said, I had been going on for 40 years with considerable evidence that it was working very well. But the whole intellectual edifice, however, collapsed in the summer of last year. They're saying capitalism is no longer working. Now this is what I was talking about just now. The growth of money and debt is the exponential function, and then you have the real economy, which is slightly. So the difference always shows up as inflation bubbles. Right? This is common for almost all countries. I always show this slide in my presentations because this is the root of the entire problem. The root of everything that you are observing is this. The debt in the economy and money growing a lot faster than the real economy. We can do that for almost any economy. I have this for 70 over countries, the data. So now the effect of the collapse of basically the dollar, right? It is creating a domino effect globally because all financial institutions, banks, they are just accounting entries. They're just double entry accounting entries between institutions. So when one institution gets into trouble, then another will get into trouble and so on. So that's the reason why you immediately saw that's why you immediately saw the problem in Europe when the problem was in the US. And what is happening today also, the euro is also in trouble because of that. So the dollar and the euro are together now in facing. But it's not going to end there because the dollar is an international currency. All central banks, we hold dollar as a reserve currency. Right? So therefore, the domino effect will continue. So it will also happen here. So particularly I'm worried about this year. 2012. And I already mentioned that all major economies in economic terms, they are in liquidity trap. Japan 2 decades ago, now we are facing America and Europe, all major economies in a liquidity trap. And also in economics we call something called contractive curve. It's a long-term cycles, business cycles that take about 60 years duration. The contractive curve also is going towards winter, downward trend. Short-term cycles also towards it. So both the long-term cycle and the short-term cycle converging at this point. Also not good, not a good news, right? So everything is showing towards not so good economic forecast into the future. Therefore, recession ahead, caused by destruction of money. What is causing is the destruction of money. So the effects of the falling dollar and euro will cause these things. Immediately you will find, if you price anything in dollar or euro, the price of that thing will go up because the value of the currency is coming down. But many things in the global economy, they are priced in these two currencies. If you go to commodities market, almost all commodities are priced in dollar, right? Right now. So many also international trade and some things, international properties are priced in dollars. So all these things will go up, value will go up because the value of the dollar is coming down. That's one. So you can expect price of commodities all to rise because of this. But there are two effects going on. One is destruction of currency. When the currency is getting destroyed, the price will go down actually because there's low amount of money circulating. But at the same time, when the value goes down, you will find price also will go up. And businesses, central banks, they are moving away from these currencies in order to diversify their reserves. So they are trying to discard the dollar and go to other currencies. In economics, we say that it increases the velocity of money circulation when people try to discard. Whether you try to change the money for other things, the velocity of the currency will increase. And when velocity increases, it will also cause price to go up. If you notice that, remember in the 1990s when the Russian ruble collapsed, including our currency, remember in the Japanese, when they occupied the peninsula for 2 years, when they left. So just before they left, their currency, which we call the banana, down pisang, so that currency, people will try to discard. Therefore, there will be hyperinflation. So anytime when the currency is collapsing or the currency is going to, quote unquote, going to die off, it will create hyperinflation in the. So all these factors are causing inflation. Notice, it is towards inflationary pressures. The velocity also same thing. You see the moving away, the velocity of money circulation, and last the bailouts. So in the US, and then because of the money destruction of money, they counter the destruction of money by creating new, more currencies. We call quantitative easings. So quantitative easings are creation of more money to bail out the system, and also in the Europe also it needs bailouts. So all these bailouts will create new money, trillions of dollars of new money, all through accounting process only. So the effect of notice all this I have shown, it will be inflationary pressures globally. Globally, there will be inflationary pressures. So that's the reason why we are moving towards recession that will create unemployment and so forth. While creating inflation and unemployment is going to create hyperinflation in the price of grains, commodities. Oil, I put a question mark. The reason is during recession, the demand for oil will go down. It is the main raw material for the economic engine of countries. So when the demand of everything goes down, its demand also will go down. So there is a force playing there. But the grains, commodities, I'm confident the price will go up significantly. So countries that import foods and things like that, they'll be seriously devastated. And also global chaos and conflicts. Whenever the world goes to this kind of situation, people go into conflicts. And there is going to be a significant increase in the price of gold and silver. Because these are metals shown historically to be, counter-inflationary, right? So anytime there's inflation, the price of gold and silver will also go up. So people will go to hedge against this inflation phenomenon. And also silver. So this is the scenario that we're looking at. So you can see this, I have shown this many times already. This is the price of the gold. See the exponential value? It's also showing the fall. Now here is another thing. When the dollars and euros are collapsing, it has another effect on loans and bonds and even the Islamic sukuks denominated in these currencies. Many countries have taken loan from IMF, World Bank, denominated in dollars. Right? So when there's lack of dollars in circulation, then the probability that you will default will increase. For example, let's say we are an economy, I've given you dollar loans. Suddenly there's no dollar in the system. How are you going to pay back the loan, right? You will face problems, isn't it? So it's not because of your inability to pay the loans, because simply there's lack of dollar in circulation. Right? So countries that have taken loans and bonds and sukuks denominated in dollars and euros will be highly vulnerable for collapse. The Dubai, the default in Dubai is basically because sukuk Islamic financing, but finance denominated in dollars. So that's the reason Dubai faces so much of problem. Now, okay, so I mentioned hyperinflation. I already mentioned it here, and it's also being worsened by the global warming and climate change. Take Thailand for example. The floods devastated a lot of paddy fields, right? And then we are expecting the price of rice to also go up because of monetary reasons. Now also due to climatic reasons, right? So we are expecting this year to be a hyperinflationary year. All right. These are these socioeconomic effects. Inflation is basically it is a transfer of wealth. It's a zero-sum game. That means not everybody loses when there's inflation, when it is caused by monetary reasons. If it is caused by real reasons like the destruction of rice and so on, then everyone will bear it. But here, when inflation is caused by monetary reasons, it's a transfer of wealth from the low-income group to the high-income group. It is a transfer of wealth. Okay. So the high-income group is indeed the beneficiary of inflation, and is a zero-sum game. You need to understand this because it isn't. So what governments can do counter this? First is, like in a country like Malaysia and others, we need to, I think, introduce things like food stamps in order to not to make. You see, of course, in the system, even today the governments have price control of basic necessities. It's necessary. If they don't do that, then it will be the price of everything will go up. So in a fiat monetary system, you do need price controls, which governments are doing. But these are extra things that the government can do. Give food stamps to people who are vulnerable, especially the low-income group. And it has to be financed through taxing the high-income group. Because everything, in real economics, you cannot do magic. If you give somebody a benefit, you're actually taking it from someone else. Right? You cannot do magic, okay? So you have to tax the high-income group. If you don't do that, then the middle-income group will be the one. You see, the inflation will transfer wealth to the high-income group, and the poor are suffering, and then you tax the middle income and give them. That's not also good, right? So then the entire burden of the inflation will be transferred to the middle income group. Then number two, we need the price control of basic necessities. This is already there already. This will benefit all groups. And it is best financed through natural resources if you have, like you have oil and things like that. Then you tax that sector where you have natural resources so that you don't put the burden on the people too much. So tendency to produce burden the producers of the, because if you don't, if you simply price it, if you just control prices without financing it in this way, then you would actually put the burden on those who produce the basic necessities, farmers and so on. That's why in countries like Western countries, sometimes you will find farmers protesting. They go and throw their milk in the street, pour the milk in the street. They go and dump their potatoes onto the streets and so on. Because you control the basic agriculture prices, but price of everything around them going up, isn't it? So they get frustrated and they react like that. And also increase the number of small holdings, food producers, processors and so on. These are immediate effect. What I'm saying is that these are immediate effect. The monetary reasons are others. Agriculture sector is one of those you have to give priority. Agriculture, otherwise you will not be full self-sufficient. And also go for bilateral and multilateral trade arrangements. This was what Tun Mahathir was suggesting in the last crisis. When he asked central banks to settle in gold and so on, he was talking about bilateral and multilateral trade arrangements. So this is another method that you can counter this crisis actually. How it can help is basically, this system works by, we just trade and then we just keep all the information. At the end of the day, we just net off. We just net off. So it is just like mutual credit clearance. So you can do a lot of trade with minimal amount of money, and then at the end of the period you just do netting. Do netting. That is the strategy here. And also you can encourage a lot of what we call complementary currencies. See, why the economy goes towards recession is lack of money in circulation. The destruction of money is what is taking the economy towards recession. So you counter it by creating community currencies. So many communities, for example, there's the most recent one is one called LEWES, LEWES in UK. They started a community currency, and there are thousands of them existing in America and others. So the communities, they create money among themselves using coupons and others to increase the earning. And you can look at Curitiba, is a very successful story in Brazil. How the mayor transformed a place like Stingan, a slum area, into a very highly developed place like a Singapore within one generation, using complementary currencies. And then encourage cooperative payment systems, the mutual credit clearance, and commercial trade exchanges. All these have a similar this thing, just like the multilateral trade arrangement. Only that is between countries. This one is between business to business, B2B. So there are many commercial trade exchanges outside Malaysia, but we don't have in Malaysia. I know there's one that someone is trying to develop it, but we need these kind of things to counter the crisis. And in the long term, the governments can go for real money systems. What is causing the entire global crisis is because of the removal of the link between money and gold. That is the reason. If you ask me to give me one reason, just give me one reason why the world is facing this, it is the removal of the link in 1971. Right? So we have to go back and re-establish the link again. Go back to whatever you call it, Bretton Woods, you can call it dinar, you can call it gold standard, whatever name you like it. But you have to bring back that link. But I say the best form of money today is the gold-based electronic interest-free credit. In today's system, it is interest-free credit. We use electronic payment system. All payment system, but it will use gold as a unit of account, and it's interest-free. It will solve a lot of problems that I mentioned. There will be no shortage. It is nothing physical. It will not concentrate in anybody's hand. There's no monopoly of its creation and so on. And lastly, I think in the long term, we need to go towards towards nationalizing banks. Why? Because today the entire money creation process is created out of nothing, and it's owned privately. Because all the money creation is mostly privately owned. So nationalized banks, that means you go for public banking. Then one of this thing is the most important thing to solve the global crisis, the liquidity trap. The liquidity trap is to give a debt relief to the system. When you say debt relief means you write off the interest portion of the debt, so that the real sector and the monetary sector is put parallel again. So you write off the interest portion and then you ask people to pay only the principal, and the principal portion will be paid to this nationalized bank. Right? So many countries, America, China and others, there are many nationalized banks. In the US, there's only one state, the North Dakota, and there's a public bank. That's the reason, out of the 50 states in America, only one state, there's no financial problem. It's North Dakota. Why? Because there's a public banking system there. So low tax, negative interest rates, and redistribution of wealth and this thing. I can actually talk each one of them for half an hour, but not time. But I'll tell you only one this. A lot of studies have shown for you to have a sustainable economy, there need to be a negative interest rate. You can so the Western scholars, they use the name demurrage charge. There must be a negative interest rate for the system to be a sustainable system. Positive interest rates will ultimately bring down. That's why you have all the cycles. People say business cycle is, there must be, it is a norm of them. It's actually, there are reasons for that. It is all because the interest system, it is all correction. The cycles are all corrections. In Islam, we have the zakat, is an automatic negative interest rate that gives you the sustainability. But in a dual system, when you have zakat and interest rate is much higher than the zakat rate, so interest dominates. So the businesses, you go for cooperative payment systems, sistem koperasi lah. Within koperasi, we go for payment systems in cooperative system. The same thing, the mutual credit clearance, but done within cooperatives. So in this way, whatever happens in the global system, you will be protected against it. Right? And when you implement this electronically, it is actually a dual system working. So system koperasi, then mutual credit clearance and then gold-based electronic credit that I mentioned to you. The moment you make it gold-based, the system will become inflation-proof. The system becomes inflation-proof the moment you make it gold-based. And then they can also, businesses invest in precious metals and agricultural land. Precious metals because it will protect you from the inflation. Inflation is precious, and later you can transform it into a payment system. So almost similar thing for the individuals. Go for complementary currencies. We have what we call LETS system, local exchange trading systems. There are also mutual credit clearance systems, gold-based, invest in precious metals today. So I think this year will be the year for gold and silver. Because anytime when the dollars and euro collapses, it is gold and silver, the alternative, the true money will rise. And we need to struggle against riba. So if in Islamic concept, if you see what is all these things, the entire thing, it is basically riba. Riba is strongly condemned in the Islamic religion, and that is the only one issue in the entire Holy Quran where God threatens believers, he threatens the Muslims with war on this issue. So he says, if you deal in riba, take notice of war from God and His Messenger. So that is the entire crux of the whole thing, what is happening. It is actually riba. So with that, I end my talk. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.